With a master's degree in botany, Sangeeta Khanna began her career as a research scientist, studying cyanobacteria and antioxidants way back in the 90s. Today, she finds herself not far from science, but slightly detoured into the realm of nutrition, health, and well being. She is the voice behind the blog Healthfood Desivideshi, and what brings together this home in the world concept of food is her passion for health and well being. I found myself sucked into her world of things all too familiar yet forgotten when I began following her on Instagram and then her blog. Everything from the science behind cooking materials, pickling, foraging, and forgotten foods. Today, I get to forage through her mind as we discuss nutrition and the Indian Thali. Welcome to the India Edit, Sangeeta. I am so glad that you could be a part of this.
Thank you, Mira. Thank you for having me with you here. And of course, yes, it feels like almost in person talking. And God willing.
So, how's the weather up there in Dehradun?
Weather is good, a bit hot at this point of time. Sunny. Dehradun can get sunny and the sun can kill you, but better right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you been foraging for any ingredients?
A lot. A lot.
So, what's in your basket at the moment?
The basket. Yeah, so I have pan, the betel leaves growing here, and in my garden there are a lot of herbs that I can forage. Brahmi I have Bringaraj. I made a really nice hair pack for myself.
I have to ask you, Sangeeta, is there anything that you don't make from scratch?
I have tried a lot of things, and I'm someone who can't keep idle. So whatever I see, if there's a possibility, I just get onto it. So that's how I think it's my nature, and I can't help it. It's not always a nice thing because it keeps me occupied like crazy. Yeah.
But that's good. So, Sangeeta, I read in your blog, Health Food Desi Videshi, and I'm going to quote this that a bird and an ant know what to eat and what to discard. But why and how have we forgotten that inherent wisdom in terms of how to make everyday food healthier? Why do you think we've lost touch with this? Why do you think we've forgotten, our even our traditional means of cooking, eating the vegetables, the herbs, the ingredients, the traditional way of growing all of those things? Why do you think we've lost touch with all that?
I think in India, thankfully, it has happened slowly, slower than the Western world. But right after Industrial Revolution in Europe, when things started becoming more and more modernized in terms of industrialized, and packaged food started taking over, and the advertising also during those days was done in such a way that they actually used feminism to market certain products, that women will be more free, women will have more time, women need not to work this much. And that's how they started marketing all those convenience foods where women did not have to work in the kitchen so much. So instead of making a marketing attempt by making everyone work in the kitchen together, they actually burdened it all still on the woman, and still made it a lot unhealthy for the whole family. That's what I feel. That's how it has happened slowly and slowly and slowly. And all those products that became popular in the last century in the West, they have started coming to India, and they've started becoming popular, more and more popular, even in the villages. When I see, all those cheap packaged products in villages, it is actually really, really scary.
Actually, you're right. I mean, this culture of doing everything on our own by ourselves in the kitchen, it's so deeply ingrained in us as a country, as a culture. It's part of our tradition. I mean, we have so many shared experiences whether it's making pickle, making papad, putting mirchi on the roof. I know so many of my friends who recount their grandmothers doing that. And you're right. I mean, I see that myself many a times, that such traditional forms of cooking or processing, even if you may call it, they're looked down upon for some reason, because like you said, it's like subliminal messaging that we have got, that this is very backward or it's not cool enough. We'd rather buy packaged pesto than make it ourselves, although that is becoming quite stylish now to grind your own pesto, but we don't give that much importance to chutney. So tell me why. Like, it's almost like, humble haldi versus trendy turmeric.
Yeah. Yeah. So with chutneys, I have a huge grudge against all these packaged sauces and ketchups. Ketchup, even when I was growing up, even ketchup, we used to call it sauce. Okay. So all these packaged sauces started coming, and people started having this sauce over paratha, over puri, over roti, over bread, everything, pakoras and samosas, what not. Okay, so and our chutneys, in my book about pakoras, I have 40 chutneys. Okay, so all these chutneys, and I have always said that all these chutneys are made with ingredients that are now considered superfoods. So these chutneys give a very good nutritional boost to a meal, even if we are eating little bit of chutney. So these chutneys are giving it a little bit of, you know very good nutritional boost. And that we've forgotten, because chutney has to be made fresh every day. But the thing is, and the ketchup comes in a huge bottle, always plonked on the in the center of the dining table in most middle class families, right? And of course, now mayonnaise has also started coming in huge pouch packs that even a kid can squeeze on the plate. And that is the most dangerous, scarier fact. The wheat, the rice, lentils, we mostly don't change those things, but the chutney can change according to the season. The fresh vegetables can change according to the season, and they bring so much variety in your food and so much nutritional heft into your food, right? So that we need to understand. Yeah.
Speaking of chutneys changing with season, it's almost like the food that grows on our land at a particular time, it's suited to our body for that particular time. It's like it's a kind of symbiotic relationship. It's like a biorhythm, if you'd like to call it. Something that grows in the winter is supposed to be nourishing. It's supposed to balance the dry cold quality of winter, and consequently in the summer you get certain fruits or certain vegetables, all your gourds. I mean, um, tori, ghia, tinda, all of those water vegetables are something that naturally balance the sun out there, excess pith, things like that. Tell us a little bit about um, our Indian thali, how it changes seasonally and how it's inherently very balanced. Because I've often heard, I've often read papers, heard nutritionists within India, a lot of trainers nowadays also tell us that the Indian thali, the Indian plate, the Indian diet is very heavy towards carbohydrates. We don't have a protein rich diet. At the same time, if you see our forefathers or people who still eat that kind of a diet, they have they may not have muscular bodies, but their bodies definitely have a lot of endurance. In that respect, I mean, what do you feel about the Indian diet? And I would like to call it a misconception that it isn't it's not suitable for a health it's not a healthy balanced diet, because I do feel that it is. You have your grain, lentil, sabzi, chutney, achar, sometimes a papad. Why is it that we feel that it's not balanced, and now we're trying to go heavy into protein, we're trying to also go heavy into fat, trying to reduce the carbohydrate content of it? Why have we demonized carbs so much?
Exactly. Carbs and especially particularly rice and so much more now gluten and wheat has been demonized. Of course, I would say gluten has some problems for some people, but then rice, even white rice, is good for most of us. So the thing,
But what is the problem with gluten? I mean,
let me come to gluten after addressing the thali. The Western world has been going a lot towards high protein ketogenic diets and high protein, high fat diets. The thing is, of course, in India also, the balance has been tilting towards protein and good fats more, and carbs have been, demonized totally. So the thing is, in terms of people are talking more about macronutrients and forgetting
right.
and ignoring micronutrients. And just as I was talking about the chutneys and even pickles, the micronutrients actually give a very good heft to the nutritional quotient of food. Micronutrients are forgotten most of the times, especially when people start depending on a certain kind of protein or a certain kind of fat. Like people who want to boost up their protein intake, they are only eating chicken breast or eggs. So imagine just one kind of protein they're depending on, right? And it becomes so bad in the long term that you can't even imagine. And already a lot of cases are coming up with health problems due to long term practicing of this kind of food habit. Okay, and these people only eat chicken breast, eggs, and a little bit of lettuce. Little bit of lettuce, no other greens, no chutney, no lacto fermented pickle. So this becomes so dangerously monotonous for the body, monotonous in terms of limited range of nutrients available for your body, right? So I always talk about keeping the biodiversity intact on your plate. The more kind of food, the more variety of food you get, the more variety of micronutrients also you get. And also coming to the protein, protein has been talked about as if our body cannot make protein. Okay, so you have to eat all of your protein from your food, right? But the fact is, our body can make all its protein that's required, okay, provided we keep getting a few essential amino acids in our food. So protein is made up of two types of amino acids, essential amino acids, and the others are called non-essential amino acids. So essential amino acids are the ones that our body cannot make. Okay, so we need to have them in our food. So suppose we are eating a normal diet of rice and dal, dal chawal or roti dal, one grain and one lentil. When they are part of a meal together, they provide the full range of essential amino acids, and that kind of that is called complete protein. Complete protein range is the one where all 9 essential amino acids are there in one meal. Okay, so dal chawal is a very balanced meal. Dal roti is a very balanced.
So we
meal.
don't need to have a protein shake then.
No, not
Dal
at
chawal
all.
is enough.
Not at all. So you're getting all 9 essential amino acids, and your body can take care of everything else. So imagine a farmer who works in the farms. He never eats anything other than sometimes roti, pyaz, and hari mirch. Yeah?
Yes.
And their body is completely muscular, rippled with muscles because they are working.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. And they also have a lot of endurance to work for hours at a stretch in the peak of heat, doing very hard manual labor. That is a body that one would like to aspire for its internal body goals, or bod goals that people really
So there are
talk
two more
about.
things that people confuse these days. One is metabolic fitness, and the other is endurance, the muscular health, the muscle. Okay, so muscle mass is not everything. If you have a lot of muscle mass, your body is working, is capable of working. Working means lifting weights and moving, etc. A lot. But if your metabolic health is not in place, it will be a very dangerous situation. So if you've heard about people collapsing on the treadmill,
Right.
that's it. Yeah.
So, speaking of things like metabolic health, we also had a influx of the types of lifestyle disorders, as well as so many more people getting it at a far younger age. And I don't know if there is a correlation, but I kind of feel like it could also be the amount of food we are restricting ourselves towards, because that eventually comes down to gut health. It's
So
the
imagine,
quantity of bacteria as well as the diversity of the
yeah,
bacteria, isn't it?
yeah,
Does lifestyle
absolutely.
disorders, do they have a correlation directly to gut health?
Of course, of course. So imagine you said we are restricting ourselves to a lot of foods. What are those foods we are restricting ourselves from? All those foods that have been demonized are natural, real foods, right? Root vegetables, rice, wheat, this, that, yeah. And everything that has been recommended comes in a packet. It is making someone rich,
Right.
yeah. Number one. And number two, imagine all these, if you read the labels, all these packaged foods, whether it is a protein bar or, everything has some or the other kind of emulsifier. Okay. So, and these emulsifiers are very, very bad for the gut bacteria, gut microflora. Very bad for the gut microflora. And for example, I'll tell you, a gut microflora feeds on soluble fiber and a lot of which is called as prebiotics. Okay, all prebiotic food. For example, banana. For example, rice, moong dal. Yeah, and a lot of vegetables, even potato. So
Those are all the foods that you're told to go off if you want to lose
exactly,
weight,
exactly.
from those the initial diets that
Even
plagued
white rice.
all of
Even white
us.
rice. Ghee is actually so good for the body. Number one, all the fat soluble vitamins, all the vitamins except B vitamins and C are all fat soluble. And if we don't eat fats, we cannot metabolize these vitamins. So that's taken care of when we eat good fats. But then ghee has a very interesting profile. Um, One is butyric acid, which actually makes the gut bacteria happy, right? And it's a very good mood lifter as well. Ghee wala khana kha ke we feel so happy anyway. The other good fat is coconut oil, which is actually very, very good brain food. So whenever I feel demotivated in the sense I can't concentrate on something creative, I eat 2 tablespoons of coconut oil and I'm good. Yeah, it helps me focus
That's
a lot
amazing.
better. Yeah, it is actually very good. And you were talking about the rhythm of the seasons. Actually, that is also, it should be in sync with the circadian rhythm as well. The time that we wake up and then the time when we sleep, getting good full sleep and good quality sleep, and then waking up on time, eating our meals on time, that actually corrects a lot of things in our body. So even if we have not been eating perfectly well, sometimes we are traveling, sometimes we are not in the best of situations to follow all our things. But then if our circadian rhythm is in place, it can take those uncertain times to an extent. It can take care of that. So I think that also should be talked about a lot more. So when we talk about gut health, when we talk about how our hormones work, all of it is interconnected, and gut health is also dependent a lot on our circadian rhythm, the day and night cycles. Yeah.
Right. So speaking of breads and grains, I don't think that a conversation with you is complete without discussing sourdough.
Yeah.
You're like the sourdough queen. You use it in just about anything. I haven't been able to attend those workshops, and I've been feeling so terrible, major FOMO, that I can't attend. But tell us about sourdough. Tell us about how actually fermented breads aren't very alien to us
Yeah.
as Indians. It's been part of our plate for as long as we can remember, and you've used it in very ingenious ways. Like the sourdough starter is your little pet.
In earlier days also, like I keep traveling to remote areas in India, and I have seen, of course, in the south we know that they make the dosas and idlis after fermenting the grains, and that too, a very interesting mix of rice and lentil, which makes it complete protein, and those proteins are further broken down into very perfectly bioavailable nutrients. So that's one thing, and the other thing is in the north also, especially till date, I've found in some of the remote areas in Himachal, in Uttarakhand, remote areas, not urbanized, where people have started eating white bread every day. So all those people have been making their own sourdough breads. Although sourdough, the name sourdough is alien to us, but these breads, like some of these kulchas, bhaturu, babru, in Himachal, and then there is Sidhu, which was always made with khatta atta. Okay, so that khatta was the sourdough. Okay, there's another roti called doli roti in Sindhis that was made with sourdough, and that was again a very ingenious way of making sourdough and very different sourdough. So it has always been there. In Punjab also, earlier there used to be a little culture of khatta atta reserved from the previous day that was added to the atta being made, the dough being made, and it was rested for an hour, and then rotis were made. So it was always, a little bit of that effect, and people knew that this is good for the stomach. They would say, "Pet ke liye acha hai, thanda rakhta hai," this and that, and they knew it was good for the gut, right? And that also made the wheat a lot more easily digestible. The food pairings were such that it was, a complete balanced meal. And now what has happened with wheat is wheat has been in the last 5 decades, actually, the wheat has been bred so aggressively to increase its gluten content. So the breads are softer. The gluten content has been increased in the wheat a lot. So once it is fermented over a prolonged period of time, like my breads take anywhere between 24 to 36 hours easily, and the taste is so good, and always 100% whole wheat. So that has never caused a problem for us.
Sangeeta, you have all the hashtags. You have slow food, you have farm to table, you have artisanal bread, and it's all just what you've been, what you learned and taken from things that have been part of our Indian diet. That is really quite cool, actually. I feel that you listed so many breads. I only honestly had known of kulcha being a leavened bread, or
Even naan, bhatura,
things like that.
everything.
Bhatura, yes, bhatura.
The rotis, normal, even unleavened rotis that were made in homes every day, they kept changing with seasons. We never ate gehu ki roti all over the year. There was bajra roti, there was jawar, there was all these things. Makki, yes, and makki made a huge part of our winters, along with bajra. We've started seeing all these fancy packaged foods more. I think they have become more aspirational than anything else.
But what I love about you is that you're reviving all of these age-old recipes. Not even age-old, actually. They're right there. You're just bringing them, giving them center stage. So another thing that I've seen very frequently on your Instagram page and your blog is traditional cooking techniques and vessels. You've explained the benefits of Kansa, of Mitti, of cooking in copper vessels, storing certain things in copper vessels, even how to clean them, with amchur and soda and things like that. Of course, there has to be a science behind it. Why certain foods are cooked in certain metals or clay for that matter. Although we've kind of before we got into Teflon and stainless steel, and before copper became cool, coming in these really nice dishes and things like that, this is how we used to cook, and I'm sure there was a science behind it. Tell us about that.
So the metals like ancient cookware, if we talk about the Kansa and the copper, brass, and even clay pots, uh, a lot of these things have the micronutrients coming out from the metal. Copper has been storing in copper, storing drinking water in silver has been really so the other thing, kansa for cooking. Kansa again is an alloy and has been used since Indus Valley civilization. Clay pots, we do get essential minerals, micro minerals that are required in very very small amount, but we do get it from that. A lot of people say that you do get some undesired minerals like and heavy metals like lead, etc., from clay pots. That does happen because the soil now has become polluted, polluted also with heavy metals, but those heavy metals come into our food as well. So it is there in the air, we are breathing it. Yeah. So from the clay pot, it comes only once or twice when you use it, and then it will be lost. It will not keep giving you heavy metals all the time, even if it has. The most interesting thing that happened recently, actually last week only, I learned making a very nice Uriya temple dish from Puri Jagannath temple, and I made it in the clay pot like they make it at temple, right? And it was ready in 20 minutes. It had dal, rice, and a few vegetables and few spices, ginger and cumin. Okay, and it got ready in 20 minutes. Again, next week, I tried it and I thought, let's try it in the steel ka patila. And it took 45 minutes, the same quantity, same dish. About cleaning these vessels using these natural things like amchur that I was using, you might have seen. That I made from the tree in my backyard. There was a lot of mango, and I dehydrated it and powdered it and made a cleaning powder with it.
I mean, it's really wonderful that uh, you're being so conscious about things other than what's going into your system, but what you're using as well, what goes into the dustbin, down the drain. But for people living in the city, take me for example, or anybody else who lives in a city who may not have access to fresh vegetables growing in their backyard, or fruit or herbs, paucity of time. How are we going to, in today's day and age, with the current pace of life, how are we going to keep our health intact and our nutrition levels up to the mark? There will be certain times that you have to make compromises, but what are those things that we should definitely not compromise on?
Packaged foods should not be consumed every day. That's one thing, one rule everybody should follow. Yeah, so you can eat them once in a while, that's okay. But if our everyday food is really, really good and strengthens you from inside, keeps your metabolism perfect, your metabolic health good, and your circadian rhythm is good, you'll be able to take a little bit of a salt of the packaged foods, right? But then if your system is already screwed up, you cannot take that assault on your system, right? And the other thing that you said, that no access to fresh vegetables, etc., we can grow a lot of herbs on our windowsills. Herbs are really easy to grow. Okay, we can bring it from the nursery, even if it doesn't survive the whole year, doesn't matter. We can bring, like, instead of buying flower bouquets for ourselves, we can buy herbs, potted herbs, and we can
That's a
keep
great
using
idea.
it. Yeah, and keep using it, and once it dies, of course, replace it. Yeah. So that's something we can all do. We can grow some
I
microgreens.
actually did that with my kids. Microgreens have become something that is always topping your salad or your sandwich on top of a hummus. And the other day, my kids and I were just hanging around in the garden in front of our house, and I wanted to keep them busy. So I said, okay, let's go and get some sabut dhania, methi, ajwain, and ajwain, sauf, and zira. So I said, let's get this. Let them plant it. I said, I don't know whether it's going to grow or not, but let's put it. They had a great time. It made a good activity, and we said,
Yeah.
okay, let's plant it. In 3 days' time, I had ready microgreens. I was astonished, definitely at the ease and how quickly it happened. And you just go and snip it, put it into a salad, a sandwich, into a dal even. And I was like, I really need to rethink how I'm doing things. This is what I want my kids to learn. This is it, and we can. A small little patch, and you can grow just a little something.
Yeah. Even in broken mugs
I
and
feel it's
kettles.
a great fun. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So we have to discuss diet trends. I really want to ask you, because I have never seen somebody say you must eat fried food and actually demonstrated with a experiment. When you actually fried the vadas and you calculated the amount of oil that was actually used. So whether it's veganism, uh, uh, a gluten-free diet, intermittent fasting, keto. You must tell us about keto. Just debunk all of these for us, and how is it relevant to us in the Indian context, in our Indian palate, our Indian diet? How is it relevant to us?
Ketogenic diet may be a short-term solution for someone to lose weight, but it should not be followed long-term because it screws up the metabolic health. Number one, and number two, hormonal cascade as well. Um, Intermittent fasting is actually a good way of disciplining circadian rhythm, because if you eat your food at a certain time every day and you sleep better, it's not that you can do intermittent fasting and then during the eating window you can eat anything. That should also be disciplined, and your sleep cycle should also be disciplined. So if following a healthier lifestyle otherwise as well, you eat during that 8 hours or 6 hours window that you set yourself for, and then sleep better, it actually helps a lot. 12 to 14 hours window can be done by everyone, but if you want to take it a little further, then you may want to maybe analyze your health a little better.
Actually, intermittent fasting hasn't suited me. I tried it, and I'm uh, a pith dominant body type. So for me, long gaps between my food actually lead to heartburn, or mostly for me, migraines. I get terrible migraines if I don't eat on time and frequently enough.
We should not be consuming milk a lot. We can minimize the consumption of milk, but dahi, buttermilk, ghee is still good. Milk in the form of milk may not agree with a lot of people, but then other things, other milk products are perfectly okay. We should not be consuming only one type of grain at all. Even if we can't bake breads, we can certainly make kulchas and khamiri paratha, khamiri roti. That we can do every day. I do that every day. My parathas are always, even aloo paratha is always sourdough.
So we have discussed everything. We've discussed diets, we've discussed cooking techniques, um, macronutrients, what our plate looks like. So tell me, what do you think our plate will look like in another 10 years? It's changed so much. Every decade, every 5 years, every year, there's a new diet, a new trend, a new superfood. And many a times we circle back. We eliminate fat, and then fat is very friendly. We eliminate carbs, and then we bring in alternative grains and things like that. Spices, they come and go. Cinnamon was all the rage, haldi, nutmeg. What does it look like for the future? Like, what do you think our kids are going to be eating? Are diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure or cholesterol, lifestyle disorders, PCOS, are they going to be as rampant because we are also more aware now. We're also reading more. We also have labels which describe what is written. We have people who are coming up with small artisanal brands for those who can't necessarily do their own. What does it look like? It's almost like a dichotomy. Like we're going very far away from our roots, but also there are people who are bringing them back.
Yeah, as you rightly said, there is a dichotomy, and I think the dichotomy will rule. But a lot more people are getting more and more aware, and thankfully, a lot more people have come to organic farming, come to doing organic and artisanal stuff. So that will, of course, catch up, and people who are aware, who read, who take interest in making their plate richer, will keep informing themselves and keep choosing better and better. So I think people are moving from junk to very good food as well. But there will always be the kind of people who fall for advertorials.
I think you put it so well. Forgotten foods are coming back. There are entrepreneurs in the food and beverage industry who are making things like this accessible to us. There are a lot of modern day farmers, urban farmers who are taking up organic farming, as well as many people who are linking the supply chain. So it is coming together. We are being able to eat better quality food, and even through blogs like yours where you're reviving
Thank you.
dishes that have been forgotten, and also making home food shine. That's something that's really, really helping. I have got sucked into it purely because of your blog, and via that, seeing so many others. So I think you've really, really inspired me into eating healthy, eating simple, and eating home food. And all of you guys must check it out. So thanks for being a part of the India Edit and telling us everything that we should be knowing. Actually, I want to ask you 5 quick questions. 5 native ingredients that are a must-have for all of us.
See, I would say barley is a very good grain. Barley should be brought back. A lot of people have not tasted barley at all, but it's a very, very good grain. Sesame in oil form, in seed form, in every form we can eat. Coconut, all forms. It should be part of our everyday meals. Ragi is a very good grain. Bajra also should come back. Bajra is very good for a lot of people who have issues with their bone health and hormonal health.
4 items that you'd never buy from a store.
Oh, it's not just 4. I can count 40.
I know that, but I have to restrict it to 4. Otherwise, we'll all feel terrible.
Okay. So ketchup, mayonnaise, chips,
Okay.
and instant noodles.
3 common myths when it comes to Indian nutrition.
Again, there are so many, but 3, yes. It's very oily and spicy. It's not. The other one is fried food is unhealthy. It's not. I have proved it. Okay. I have written a book.
Please tell us again. Fried food is not unhealthy.
Fried food is not unhealthy at all. If you do it in good fats, deep fry it rightly. In my book, Pakoras, the all season snacks, I have actually written a whole lot of things about how to deep fry, what are the oils, what temperature we should be deep frying, and how much oil it actually takes.
2 dishes that are healthy and delicious, which is commonly not considered healthy.
Okay, so pakoras first.
Okay.
Okay, so they are healthy. There are a lot of pakoras that are made for medicinal purposes as well. Okay, so it's actually really, really healthy if you do it right. We are not using any refined oils at all for making pakoras. Only mustard oil, sesame oil, coconut, peanut, ghee. The other thing I would say is dal chawal. It has been demonized a lot, rice, but dal chawal is healthy. It's actually really healthy and satisfying.
Yeah, you said it's
Complete
A
protein.
meal that has complete proteins. Okay. And the last question is one word to describe India.
Beautiful. I have been to
Awesome.
faraway
Wonderful.
corners. We keep traveling to remote places, and so much beauty we cannot imagine. We never feel like going abroad for holidays.
That's amazing. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being a part of the India
Thank you, Mira.
edit and
Thank you.
for debunking a lot of myths. So hopefully we can meet soon.
Definitely.
And you can teach me how to make sourdough in person.
Oh, definitely. If we do it live, person to person, nothing like that. I'll ask my questions. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, number 5 is, what is the food that you like cooking and is your favorite as well?
Thai curry is my favorite. I make it in a bunch of different ways with different vegetables, and that's something that I enjoy making as much as I enjoy eating. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent. That probably why I like it.
Yeah. And so simple, so light, healthy. Yeah. Has something changed in your food habits after you had your kids?
I was trying to figure out why I was feeling so uncomfortable, and and it doesn't necessarily need to mean my stomach. It was in general. I wasn't feeling 100%. I wasn't feeling at the top of my health. So and very common markers like hair fall. I was not sleeping too well. I was waking up tired, and that's when I actually introspected, literally, to fix my gut. And I slowly reintroduced wheat and dairy, and I made sure that I find the right sources for them and include them in my diet often enough. And I do feel that it's really made a difference. And we've started cooking in ghee now. That's the third big change, and it has changed my life.
That's wonderful actually. After childbirth, our body does go through a change, and we need to sometimes reorganize our eating habits, etc.
Yes.
But what I wanted to know is whether you made any changes in your lifestyle and eating patterns to become an example for your kids as well.
Less junk, because they're seeing it all the time. I genuinely don't have a sweet tooth. I like salty food a lot more. But even then, going out to eat was something that we were quite conscious about, because we didn't want to encourage the kids to be eating junk food all that often. So that was one of the changes. You're conscious about what you have. And the second thing is obviously wastage. You don't want to waste food because the kids are going to waste it, and then you're going to tell them you can't waste food, and they tell you back, but you wasted food.
The last one is the first question. If there's one important lifestyle change that you want to make right now, what will that be? Anything that you would want to change in your lifestyle?
I'd like to get up a little earlier. I think I do get up quite early, but I'd like to get up even earlier than that. Um, I'd like to get up maybe around 4:35. Right now I get up around 7. And I really want to start eating as seasonally as possible. Even though Bombay is an all season, like it's a mono season city, or maybe two actually. There's just summer and rain. But I really want to go with to start eating grains and vegetables that follow the seasons. It's difficult, but with practice and with a lot of determination, we can do that. I've been doing that over here because the vegetables we get are what's grown. You don't get any other vegetables. So I've noticed that I have been able to eat seasonally. You don't get gobi at any time of the year. That doesn't happen. So you make do with other vegetables. So that's something that I really want to change.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is something is the core of all healthy lifestyle that we can
Yeah.
aspire for. Yeah. Thank you
Thanks.
so
This
much
was
for
fun to
playing
have
along.
the tables turned.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for playing along, and it was a really, really good time talking to you.
So like, share and subscribe.